So the next one, where's the party? Well, and this isn't going to be news to anyone, but the numbers were surprising to me, that 80% of the people surveyed said that when they attend a service, they expect that there's going to be a reception afterwards. 80%. And 20% no reception. And I thought, well, that's higher than normal. I thought maybe this would be 50% or something like that. But 80% of the time, they expect that there's going to be a reception after the service. And based on their past experiences, that 28% of the time it's at the church, 25% it's at the family's house or a friend's house, and 19% is at the funeral home. And then from there it goes down to either a community hall or a center or a club like a golf club or another organization, at a restaurant, at a hotel, and then 1%, I don't remember where it was. But we also have to realize that these surveys, we're asking them in 2010 to reflect back on their experiences. And you know, over the last 5 or 10 years, I'm sure lots of funeral homes that are represented here have added in catering and at least those abilities to have catering somewhere else. But more and more people are asking for it. And just like entrepreneurs, you would want to follow where the money's being spent. Not all the money's being spent where it was before. And if you've dealt with some families that go and have the reception at the golf course, they can be spending $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for a sit-down meal and maybe a host bar, and they don't bat an eye at that. So a new entrepreneur coming in would for sure have receptions and catering because that's where people are spending money. And where I have it on good authority back home that when you're in a market of 90+% cremation and one of the big drivers of that, and being in a retirement area, a transient area, is that people don't have connections where they used to. So they come to Victoria and they don't, maybe they don't attend church. Well, but they still want to have a reception. And that has now given the funeral home an opportunity to fill a need, because that family is going to have a reception somewhere, and it's not going to be at the church. So that now has come off the top of the list. And maybe it's going to be too big to be at their family home or at a friend's home, and you could just suggest, well, we could look after that for you. And it's gotten to a point in Victoria where catering revenues have exceeded casket sales and continue to grow. So when you're looking at your revenue and you see a line going up instead of going down, that makes you happy. And again, that's purely entrepreneurial. That's something that we couldn't have looked back 20 years ago or 40 years ago. We had to listen to what families were wanting and implement these into our operations. So based on this information, I really think that you should add this one question into your arrangement conference, and maybe even have it closer to the beginning of the arrangement than at the end. And maybe ask them, have you decided where you're going to have the reception? Just like that. It's an open-ended question based on the consumer research that Pollora has done. 80% of the people are thinking that there's going to be a reception. And now you've got the conversation on the table. They might say, oh, well, we're going to do it ourselves. Oh, well, that's fine. Would you like us to help provide you with food? They might say, well, we're going to have it at the church. Oh, that's fine too. Can we help out there? Can we provide the food? And I know in the smaller communities, the church ladies are still making egg salad sandwiches, but in the bigger centers, due to health reasons and things like that, they're getting more strict, and they're going to get the food from somewhere. They're going to either buy a platter from the local grocery store or the local deli, or you could be providing it. Or even better yet, they could be having the reception at your facility. So what you need to do to take advantage of this opportunity is quite simple. This is if you haven't created, if you don't have a reception offering yet. And before you make the big expenditure of creating a reception center, just hook up with a local restaurant nearby and make a strategic alliance with them so that you can make, you can say, if I send you a family, will you give them a little bit of a discount, and maybe there'd be a commission back to you, and some people might say, well, I feel kind of funny about that, but that's the way it works for catering and other industries. That's what wedding planners get. Also, that's what a lot of funeral homes get for flowers, or they get for monument sales. And then in the long term, if, depending on your market, now maybe you're in a market that 90% of all the receptions are back at the church, and that's just the way it is and the way it's been, well, then that's different. But in a lot of areas, you're going to have the opportunity to looking at that, because those families spend money, and they can kind of justify that more. They can justify spending $2,000 or $3,000 feeding 150